Who is Smartsky? Well, we're the first 4G LTE-based ATG network. We're going to be rolling the network out late next year, and we're currently building out permanent sites, and we're on schedule. We're very excited about it, and that all is great, but really it's all about value. And at the end of the day, for this audience, for this market segment, we have to price things in a way that are truly affordable, and also allow them to, the users that is, to consume the amount of data they feel is necessary to have a true internet experience, an experience that is just as robust and satisfying as you get today with any terrestrial broadband or 4G LTE connection. And so to that end, you can do all of this on our network for 18 cents a megabyte. That's a pretty good number. The market's telling us that's a tremendous value based on the alternatives. Other features of our network that are very important to this audience is bidirectional. So what does that mean? It means that if you're in the back of your private jet and you receive a large PowerPoint presentation and you need to update it, make changes, you need to get it off of the airplane just as quickly and efficiently as you got it on the airplane. So the bidirectional feature of our network is very important. High bandwidth, we'll talk about exactly how we're delivering this in terms of bandwidth. And also, because we're an air-to-ground network, another important feature is low latency. These people in the back of these aircraft don't have a lot of patience, so we want to be sure the connection is very quick. And as the other presenters have said, we want it to act and feel and look just like the connection and experience you get on the ground. So what can you do with it? Well, it turns out everybody can stream video. So I guess I can talk about that a little bit. But obviously you'll be able to talk and text, receive and send large files, as I just talked about. Do anything you can, including live web streaming, HD, Netflix, Amazon, all of those things. Conference calls, video calls, and later in the presentation I'll talk a little bit about how we're enhancing cockpit connectivity as well. While we're new to the scene here, we were founded in 2011. We've been at this for more than 4 years, invested a great deal of money, and have earned the trust of a lot of really smart people in what we're doing. So the point here is we didn't just start up last week. We've been at this for a while. Like the other people on the panel, our distribution network is one that includes some of the industry leaders. They've been with us, many of them, from the beginning. They know exactly what we're doing. They're confident in what we're doing, and as a result have got behind our initiative. They include Bombardier, Duncan, Standard, Textron, Jet Aviation, and Satcom Direct. Now, with the exception of Satcom Direct, all of the other partners that you see up here will be making sizable investments in certification efforts and will be our go-to-market strategy for particular platforms. Satcom Direct will be our exclusive reseller, doing customer support, activations, and things of that nature. So, how are we going to do this? The short answer is spectrum. We'll be utilizing 60 megahertz of spectrum. That's 20 times the spectrum of other solutions that are out there. That's, in our opinion, what you have to deliver this true office-like experience. It's based upon a deep patent portfolio on LTE-based beamforming technology. That's really important. So instead of turning your porch light on, what we're doing is stepping out, turning a flashlight on, and dedicating a pipe of 60 megahertz to each aircraft in the sky with beamforming. Another important point is private network. Security is becoming very important, and our customers tell us every day that they want to be able to do VPN settings just like they do at their office to protect data and ensure that there's a high level of security as to what's going on in that cabin. So spectrum is really what it's all about. In our opinion, the only number that really matters. In terms of aircraft components, 2 belly antennas and a radio. The antennas are designed, or basic antenna configuration is designed to work on every category of business jet. We will have additional antenna configurations that deliver the same user experience. We're not going to throttle or restrict use. So instead of having different levels of bandwidth, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to have a different antenna configuration for the light aircraft and piston aircraft eventually that delivers a true office-like experience, but with the level of bandwidth that's appropriate for that size of aircraft. Today, what you see is an antenna solution for the business jet community, which is, of course, what we're here to talk about. Everyone asks, so what's the cost? The answer is $93,000. We are doing, some launch promotional pricing, but I mean, the point to this panel and this audience is the answer is $93,000. The next question, of course, comes, well, how much does it cost per month? I like to ask the question, well, how much data do you think you're going to need? Peter and others have already said you're going to need continual, more data. So we start with 5 gig, then we go to 15 gig, and then we go to 25 gig. So we're offering packages that address what we feel the user is actually going to need to have a true internet experience, office-like internet experience. And at that high end, that works out to 18 cents a megabyte. This is what our coverage map will look like at launch. We say above 10,000 feet, that's our service level guarantee. We will not, however, turn the network off at 10,000 feet. So there are places in the country that will work below 10,000 feet. It's a line of sight system. But again, because over the Rocky Mountains, it's going to be a little spotty below 10,000 feet. We're doing what we think is the right thing and saying we'll guarantee it above 10,000 feet. Lastly, and this is something that's kind of fun to talk about, because we're bringing broadband connectivity at an affordable price to general aviation, much like what happened at Apple. Apple wouldn't be Apple without iTunes. iTunes wouldn't exist without broadband connectivity. And as a result, there's 1,000 apps out there that, just 5 years ago, there weren't very many at all. So we feel like really smart people, entrepreneurs, are going to look at our network and start inventing apps. We've started with this particular app that's going to be available only over our network because we have the bandwidth to support it from Panasonic Weather. Encourage you to come by the booth and take a look at it. But the point here is not weather. The point here is applications that require high bandwidth to be useful. So with that, happy to entertain any questions.
So I'd like to ask the first question. The cornerstone of any communication system is the spectrum that it operates in. In order to understand how a network is going to work within the framework of the environment that it lives in on the ground and in air, we like to know what spectrum is it. And so Smartsky has expressed that they have a 60 megahertz allocation that they can use, but they have, I guess I'll just ask the question, could you identify what spectrum you're using for this service?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. It's a fair question to ask. As I look around the industry, I frankly don't know the answer to that question for the competing networks myself, Peter.
I could answer it for every one of the ones here.
I'm just saying, I don't know. What we hear from the marketplace that's the most important number, of course, is 60 megahertz. And that's the answer that really anybody cares about, because that equates to the user experience. The people that are in the back of these aircraft don't care. What they care about is, does it work? Can I use it the way I want to use it? And is it affordable? So in terms of what's the right number to be talking about, in our view, it's 60 megahertz. And that's just how we view the world. And that's what our patented proprietary network is designed to use, 60 megahertz, and that's what we're doing.
So on one of the slides, I wrote down 3G technology.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Is there a question?
No.
That is not our network.
Oh, okay.
That's Gogo's. Yeah.
Yeah. That is on a slide that talks about the alternative. Yeah. Our network is authentic 4G LTE Rev 9 LTE technology. And you can ask, why does it matter? And it matters because of modulation rates and how efficiently you get data back and forth. That's why it matters. Yeah.
So in order to certify this on any other business jet, won't you have to communicate the spectrum to you have to ensure you got the RF spectrum worked out on
Well, that's exactly right. And we obviously have to play by the FCC rules and regulations. Our vice chairman happens to be the ex-chairman of the FCC who wrote the rules that we're following. So you're absolutely right. And our partners have to follow FAA regulations in terms of certification. So you bet, we're doing exactly that. I would just say our technology doesn't require any FCC rule change or waiver. Thank you.
All right. The only thing I'll just mention on the LTE, Inmarsat system is also an LTE-based system. So from Deutsche Telekom, who is obviously a well-established cellular provider. So it remains to be seen who is going to be the first LTE. It's a race now. We've got the European network coming online with spectrum that's licensed. And then we have the Smartsky system coming online here in the U.S. So timing, I think you're looking at...
We're looking at middle of 17, so right now we may be second, but that's okay.
Yeah, so it'll be close. But and LTE is an amazing waveform. It performs quite a bit better than the Wi-Fi waveforms, almost a 10 dB advantage. It's a great solution. I think everybody's agreed to that. It's very appropriate for this technology, so it's exciting to see